Okay, we're live. Good morning, everyone, and you're welcome to another session of our Female Entrepreneurship Support Program, which is a collaborative initiative by TechQuest STEM Academy and Junub Open Space from South Sudan. My name is Dr. Itoro Emembolu, and I'm really looking forward to the discussion today. We have some exceptional mentors here today. We have Emalohi Iruobe, who is the founder of TribeXX Labs. Emalohi, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're very welcome. We also have here with us Asunta Lual, who is the founder and managing partner at Kolmarek Law Chambers, and she's also the founder of Ihub in South Sudan. Asunta, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, they'll be speaking on the legal guide to doing business in Nigeria and in South Sudan. It's also our honor to welcome Nanko Madu. Nanko is the Senior Programs Manager at AfriLabs. This program, the Female Entrepreneurship Support Program, is part of the AfriLabs Capacity Building Programme. It's funded by the Agence Française de Développement through the Digital Africa Seed Fund. So Nanko, you are very welcome, and we'd like you to say a few things before we go into the session. So over to you, Nanko.
Okay, hi everyone. Good morning. Saying hi from Abuja, Nigeria. I'm very excited to be here, participating or being part of this fantastic women program that STEM and that TechQuest and Junub have put together. AfriLabs is a network organization. AfriLabs is the organization I work for. It's a network organization of hubs in Africa. We're currently a growing network of over 240 hubs across 48 African countries, yeah? And our mandate is to, build the capacity of hubs to better support the startups like you under them. Yeah, so we have initiatives, we do, we offer capacity building initiatives like trainings, mentorship, we give grants and funding to hubs. Everything that we do is geared towards the hubs being better positioned to support the startups under them and like the community at large. One of our initiatives is a capacity building grant for which TechQuest and Junub Hub emerged winners. It's a grant that we give out to our hubs to implement capacity building grants, for their communities. So what Dr. Itoro and her team are doing, amazing. We're very excited about it. We're so blown away by the numbers and the participation, that we have seen in the few sessions we've decided to join. The quality of facilitators and mentors, has been mind-blowing, and we're very excited to be part of this, and we're very excited for the program. We cannot wait to just see the impact that all of this will have on our community and the ecosystem and the economy of the continent at large. Very happy to be here. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nanko. So our first speaker today will be Emalohi. I will just quickly go through her profile before she starts. So, Emalohi, she is the founder of TribeXX Lab, which is a female co-working and shared space for women and female-led projects. She's very experienced. She has a Juris Doctor that focuses on public service. She has a certificate in public administration, and she also has a bachelor degree in finance and banking. She works with women, immigrants, youths, and indigenous communities with over 15 years experience in the United States and in Nigeria on social enterprises, gender advocacy, law, project management. So she's really very experienced. She has also founded Imanosi Lingerie, a social enterprise focused on building positive body images in African women. She also founded Ikoko Ceramics, a social enterprise also for female potters in northern Nigeria. So these are just some of her these are just some of her achievements. And if you want to know more about it, we'll put on the link. We'll put the link in the chat box where you could read more about her profile. So Emalohi, you are very welcome once again. And over to you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone. It is a great honor to participate in this program. I'm really passionate about empowering women in every area of their lives. And we all know that a woman empowered and educated has a ripple effect across the community. Now, speaking specifically about doing business in Nigeria in the legal way, Nigeria has a huge number of entrepreneurs. Most people, even in paid employment, have a side gig or have a side business. And as time goes on, that side gig or side business takes up more and more of their time, helps more and more with their income. And then it gets to the point where it is necessary to legally register the business. So business registration is handled by the Corporate Affairs Management Commission of Nigeria. And in recent years, the Corporate Affairs Commission has made it easier for you to register a business online, although a lot of people still prefer to use agents. There are 4 types of businesses you can register in Nigeria, but I'm going to focus on the limited liability one because most entrepreneurs want to do like a business where it's just their own or have a partnership. And of course, it is important to limit your liability when you're a business. And it's also important to register a business to avoid issues with taxation, to give your business more legitimacy. You can register a business name, register and incorporate your business, get shareholders, and it makes it easier to open a business bank account. So for example, let's say you have been running a business, logistics, that's a big thing now, delivery. Because of COVID-19, because of the pandemic, a lot of people have to stay home. And so logistics business has really boomed in the last 9 months. So let's say you've been doing logistics small, maybe you have 1 or 2 motorcycles and you've been delivering. But as time goes on, people now want to have a sense of accountability. Who are these people that I even give my things to deliver? So that is where it becomes necessary to register your business. And then you can get a bank account in the name of your business. The websites to register online is pretty easy to use, but because it only just came about in the last year in Nigeria, a lot of people still try to use an agent or an attorney to help them register their business. And the procedure is quite simple. You have to first pick 2 name alternatives for the name of the business, because so many names that you may think, well, no one has used this name before, may not be available. So you have to find 2 names where you submit to see if that name is available. And how much you pay for your registration depends on the share capital, if it is a limited liability company, if it is a one-man business, if it's a partnership. And so all of that information, I will make it available in handout notes that I'll send on to you later. So people can just click on the link and follow the instructions to register their business.
Thank you very much, Emalohi. Thank you. Would you want them to take questions at the end or as the questions come in?
As the questions come in, I'm very fine. I'm here with you till the end. So as the questions come in, and I'm sure as the other speaker starts talking, there'll be more discussion and more engagement, people having specific questions, which I'm very, very happy to respond to.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So please introduce yourselves in the chat box. And if you have questions for Emalohi regarding how to go about businesses, particularly in Nigeria, please put them in the chat box and she will take them as we go along. Okay, I would now introduce our next speaker, Asunta Lawal. Asunta, you're very welcome. I will just quickly run through her profile. Okay. So Asunta is the founder, and I mentioned earlier, I'm the managing partner at Kolmarek Law Chambers in South Sudan. She specializes in corporate governance, joint ventures, mergers, and acquisitions. She also handles investment portfolios. So I think she's very experienced, and she recently served as the secretary to the board of directors in South Sudan for South Sudan Revenue Authority. He's also the founder of Ihub, Innovation Hub South Sudan, and which is a business consultancy firm, and for tech creative, it's also a tech creative space. He holds from the University of Northumbria. She also has a certificate in business entrepreneurship from of the Honorable Society of Lincoln Inn, London, and a member of the South Sudan Bar Association. Asunta, you're very welcome. If you put on your mic, I think it has been muted.
Hi, thank you for having me this morning. As you've heard, my name is Asunta, and what I'm really good at would be probably corporate law. So this morning I'll walk you through what you need to be able to do business in South Sudan.
Okay.
Okay. So first and foremost, I will give you why it's very important to be legally registered in whatever state, country, or locality where you operate. So why it's necessary to register your company is to avoid legal issues with the state or government or whatever you operate. It also gives your company reputation as legitimate business. Also, your customers, suppliers, and employees can trust you because in case of any legal issues, they're able to get them addressed. Also, it opens market for your brand, for you to be able to advertise and do your business everywhere. It also gives you the opportunity to do business with big companies, because most of these big companies, no one wants to lose their money, so they won't do business with someone who isn't registered. Please let me know if you can hear me, because I do have flu and I don't think I'm very clear. Also, people tend to choose what sort of business structure they get based on the legal liabilities, also on the taxes, also the cost of establishing that business, the structure rather, the flexibility, and also your business future needs. In South Sudan, most people tend to register general trading companies. And with general trading company, you're able to do any sort of business that you wish to do. It does not restrict you, like, say, for instance, if your business is a construction, the law will only require you to do business within the construction industry, and you can't go into supplies or anything like that. So that is one of those. There are different types of business structures, and I'm sure most of you probably know sole proprietorship. We also have partnerships where you have general partnership and limited partnership. We have corporations, we have S corporations, which are mostly common within the United States. And we have the limited liability company, which is the most common, and the most common in South Sudan as well. Sole proprietorship, it's owned by one person who is known as the sole proprietor. It's not a separate business entity. This is where we come to the issue of choosing your business structure based on liability. The business assets and liability are not separate from the proprietor. Sole proprietors are liable for the business liability, debts, and losses. In the event of that, the sole proprietor personal assets may be at risk. We have the partnerships where we have the limited partnership and the general partnerships. The general partnerships normally where the partner is able to run the partnership, make day-to-day business decisions, and be able to assume responsibilities and liabilities. So mostly for limited partners, these are investors where you put in money and you're not involved in a day-to-day operation of the company. And that way, limited partners get ownership without taking responsibility and risk. In South Sudan, this is not very common. I've seen a few occasions where people enter into partnerships. And most of these is, it's either a company and a company entering into a partnership or an individual entering into a partnership. I have seen in terms of partnerships, we have mostly the joint venture agreements coming up between the partners. This could be two different companies. What is very common in South Sudan is the limited liability company. Most of the companies you see around limited liability companies where you have 2 to 3 or more than 2 shareholders. And normally in South Sudan, limited liability company, it can be a local or it can be an international. Mostly for local companies, you need 2 or more shareholders. You need a share capital of about 100,000, which is it's not recently being enforced as such as compared to the international companies. Let's say, for instance, you're from Nigeria and you want to do business in South Sudan. So you'll have 2 options. Option 1 will be getting into a partnership, or let's say getting a local partner, a shareholder who is local, because the law requires that if you want to register, you're a foreigner, you want to register a local company, then you would require to have a local shareholder who will hold a mandatory 31%. So that 31% could be divided into 2. If you have 2 or 3 local shareholders, they can divide among themselves the 31%. So if you're, for instance, a business wanting to enter the South Sudanese market and you want to maintain your mother company. So in South Sudan, if you want to register the same company, you can, and it will be considered as an international company. So when it comes to an international company, the requirements are quite different. You don't need a local shareholder to be able to register an international company in South Sudan. What is different is that you need a bit of a number of approvals. You need 3 names that you could then give to the registrar, which is the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs of South Sudan, and they will carry out a register search where they will, whatever names you've given them, they'll be able to know which one has been taken, which one is available. And when you get a name that is available, then you can then go ahead and prepare your documentations. And mostly for local companies, this will be your articles. When you prepare that, you can then have them signed by the shareholders and then submit it to the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. And there you'll get your certificate of incorporation. For a foreign company, you will need to have your documents, your company documents, your articles, your certificate of incorporation, and other documents submitted to the South Sudanese embassy, let's say in Nigeria. So they will have to authenticate them, and then you send them here, or you come here, you now have to submit them again to the Foreign Affairs. After the Foreign Affairs, then you can now go into your registration. You will also need a couple approvals from the CID. You need a stamp approval. You need a letter of no objection. You need all the shareholders to undergo, I think there's something called, I think it's a background check or something. So those are some of the things you need to do as to be able to get registered as a local company in South Sudan or as a foreign company. when it comes to taxes, because we have, I'll only give you 3 different types of taxes. Let's say you're a sole proprietor. You still do need to pay personal income tax. Personal income tax is a certain tax that is imposed on your salary. Let's say you have 10 employees and each employee gets $1,000 a month. So there's a certain percentage that is required to be paid to the tax department. That is personal income tax. You also have business profit tax. For instance, you've made profits and you made $1,000 profit this month. Then there's a certain percentage that is paid to the tax department. And mostly in South Sudan, you pay quarterly. You pay every 3 months. You have to pay business profit tax. We also have something called the rental tax, which is it's actually paid to the local to the state tax department. So rental tax is, if I'm renting a premises like my office, if it's $1,000, then you pay 20%. I think it's still 20%. So every month you have to pay 20% of that amount, the rental fee, to the state revenue authority. So I don't know if I should touch on this. I don't know if anyone is interested.
I think you could touch on it. I'm sure if there are people that want to have more information about it, then they would also contact you. But if you could just touch on it a bit, that would be good.
Yeah, I'm just going to run through it. So as a creator, an entrepreneur, you're basically an inventor. You're inventing, let's say today, if you're in the fintech industry and you come up with a solution for payments and all that. Let me just use the M-Pesa of Kenya. So if you're into those things, and I know that there's so many young people within Africa that are creating today, it's very important that you protect your creation. So this is where intellectual property law comes into play. So intellectual property law is a law that protects, enable people to earn recognition or financial benefits from what they create. This could be an invention, whatever that invention is. You as a person need to ensure that you know how to protect that. And that's why I come into copyrights, there's trademark, there's patent, and then there's trade secrets. So I'm going to just introduce them and just let you know copyright, trademarks, and all that. And then if you need more information on this, then you let me know and we can get into more details. It gets a bit technical from just the... so a copyright is a legal term used to describe the right that creators have over their literally artistic works. Because if you're a musician, if you're an author, you're a painter, sculpture, or a film, or a computer program or databases. So you need a copyright to be able to protect that from other people using it without your permission. A trademark is a sign capable of distinguishing goods or services. And you've seen mostly like the LG, life is good, or you have Nike, just do it. You have the McDonald's, these are trademarks, and a trademark has to be registered. It's complicated. I can't explain to you registration at this moment. But then again, trademarks date back to ancient times when artisans used to put their signs or mark on their creation. So that's trademark. A patent is an exclusive right granted for an invention. A patent is most likely owners make technical information, like let's say, I'm going to give you an example. It gives you the right to control how whatever creation you've come with can be used and who can use it and whether they need a right to use it or not. So that's patent. When we talk of trade secrets cannot be registered, but then again, they exist. These are secrets that a company uses to be able, with a monetary gain. Now, let's say, for instance, McDonald's. the way they prepare their sauce, the way their burger is made, or let's say KFC, you know. So those are trade secrets that cannot be disclosed and they cannot be registered. So mostly when people are exposed to trade secrets, the companies ensure that these people exposed to the trade secret signs the NDAs, the non-disclosure agreement, so that they are not able to use that information. So I think that's where I can stop for now. But if you have any question, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Asunta. We have a couple of questions. I'll start with some questions for Emalohi. Okay. The first question is, can one upgrade a business name to a limited liability? And also, can you explain the differences between limited liability, so LCC or LLC?
Okay, yes, you can't upgrade. You would have to do a new registration. So let's say you already have a registered business name and you would like to move to a limited liability company. It would have to be a whole new process to do that. And the difference, you didn't tell me what the second difference is. You said the difference between an LLC and what was
LCC. So Khalifa was asking what's the difference between LCC and LLC.
I'm not sure what an LCC is. What is that supposed to stand for?
Okay, Khalifa, if you could type in what you mean, and then she will take the questions. So while we wait for Khalifa to,
it means the same thing. Limited liability company is LLC. That's what it means. Just a short version. There isn't anything called LCC.
Okay. Okay.
So a limited liability company is basically, you know, a business that you register that does not leave liability to you as the owner or the founder. So for example, if business runs into trouble or is in debt, you as the founder or the incorporator are not personally liable for any of the business debts.
Okay. Okay, that's that. Please, once again, if you have questions for Emalohi, if you have for Asunta, if you have for Nanko, please put them in the chat box and we'll take that. A second question from Abimbola. This is also for you, Emalohi. It borders on the high cost of running businesses in Nigeria. She said, Abimbola said that when they saw the cost of registration, do people want them to make any gains from it with the cost of registration? So what do you have to say about the high cost of registration?
Well, I mean, you know, it's Nigeria and we are still developing in many areas to streamline processes. It is still better to register your company because as time goes on, it gives you more legitimacy, as Asunta stated earlier. However, I support collaborations. It's better to find businesses that are adjacent to what you're doing or kind of in your same industry to partner. So you share the costs or debts or expenses of doing business. There's this idea in Nigeria that everything should be a competition. However, there's room for collaboration to reduce the liability of doing business. For example, running a hub here for women in Lagos, Nigeria, we have to deal with the electricity tariffs that, you know, have increased because you can't run your business without power. But what you do is you find ways to manage or to share space. And that's why these hubs are important, you know, because then you're sharing space, you're sharing data, you're sharing power. When you start a business and you register, usually 3 years is the time of growing pains. By the end of year 3, you should start to see some profits. You should start to see some processes that are making things easier. There isn't much you can do about the cost of business than to share or collaborate with others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Asunta, how are the costs for registering a business in South Sudan?
Well, the course really differs as to which business structure you want to register. For instance, if you're registering a sole proprietorship, it's much cheaper, because I think the cost is about 10,000 SSB as compared to registering an LLC, which incorporation itself is I think about 49,000 now, 49 bordering 50,000. So you can see that there's much difference when it comes to just incorporation certificate. But there are other documentations that you need to be able to run a company. So generally, it's cheaper to register what do they call sole proprietorship as compared to an LLC, and also as compared to having a JVA, which is a joint venture agreement. It's expensive, and that's why you see most of the people prefer to just do business without having to be registered and be able to incur a lot of expenses.
Okay, thank you. So we have two questions from Noye and Kafila, and I think that's directed to Emalohi. So Noye is asking, where do social enterprises fall in? And Kafila is asking, can a social enterprise be registered in Nigeria?
Yes. So it's possible to register a social enterprise, and it's called non-governmental organization. So it's called incorporated trustees. So if you're a religious organization or a social club or a charitable foundation, there's a different line for you to register that, but it is a longer process. However, Nigeria doesn't really define a social enterprise, right? A social enterprise is really a for-profit business or a for-profit outfit that has some social good, so that some work for the community, but they still make money. So for example, Tribe XX Lab is actually a social enterprise, and the way it is registered and incorporated is as a limited liability company. And so I would advise that if you want to run a social enterprise, that means you want to make some money, but you also want to do some good. Better to just register as a limited liability company. And then in your minutes, when you're explaining what your enterprise will be doing, that is where you're going to make room for it. If you try to go the route of doing an NGO, it takes a much longer time and there's much more scrutiny. I think social enterprises should just fall under normal limited liability companies or a limited liability partnership.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think so. And I think if they have more questions, they will ask. So I think I have a question, a follow-on question. So I would like your perspective, Emalohi and Asunta. So for like a limited by guarantee, where does that fall in, and how is that much different from a limited liability company? Asunta, if you go first, and then Emalohi.
She can go first, no problem.
Okay.
I didn't hear your question. You were really breaking up.
Oh, sorry about that. I was asking about the difference, the benefits of a limited by guarantee. And I know that's what some of the NGOs use, and limited liability.
Okay, so limited by guarantee is a type of corporation used, for non-profits that require a legal personality, but it doesn't have share capital. So if you're doing a limited guarantee, it means that you're not putting up any shares. You don't have any shareholders. What you have is members who act as guarantors of the company's liabilities, right? But so that's the difference between it, and that's why it's better for non-profits. But if you are registered as a limited liability company, it means that you have shareholders who you have to report to, right, about what the company is doing. So that's what the difference is.
Okay.
I would actually add that limited by shares is that the liability of the shareholders is limited to their share contributions. For instance, if your share contribution is $10,000, then your liability will be limited to $10,000. It can't go beyond that.
Okay, that's fine. Edge has a question. She said, can she expand the scope of her business after registration without having to go back to make adjustments in the details submitted for registration?
Well, yes, in Nigeria, you can, but usually when you're registering your company, it is better to be broad in what you possibly will do. So I would use TribeXX Lab as an example because that's my experience. So we registered TribeX Lab as a limited liability company. But because we were trying to define that it's a shared workspace, our attorney advised that we should apply to say that we would also be involved in real estate, even though we're not doing real estate. But the idea that you're sharing office space with people, it means that you're sharing real estate. So our expansion and our definition in our application included that we would do real estate, we would sell. So however you registered, you have to be as broad as possible. Now, if, for example, you registered a food business and you said, I'm going to be making shawarma, small chops and things for parties. But as you've been working, you now start bottling juices. You now start, so that's not really a diversion from the food industry. You don't really need to update anything. But if you now start going something so far off, like you now decide to open up so far out of like food business, I can't even think what would really be so far off in a business that you start that you would require to expand. But if you're totally leaving that industry, you would have to register a whole new entity.
Okay, I think Edge Charity says, for example, she makes female outfits and decides to start selling male outfits. So if she had specified female outfits or something around that. And I think once...
No, that would be fine. I mean, because, no, well, you don't really need to update because when you're registering, you would have said you'd be making garments. They don't make any distinctions between it's men or women because there are people who identify as men that wear clothes made for women. So in a scenario like that, you don't need to do any kind of updating.
Okay, so we have a question from Yemisi. Yemisi said she registered a company with CAC as far back as 2007, but the company only became operational in 2020. So can she go into full-scale operation using the business name she registered in 2007, or does she need to re-register since a long time has passed in between? And from
what I know, your registration doesn't expire. So as long as you registered, your name was available, it means no one else would have ever taken that name. You can start your operations.
Okay. And Asunta, the same thing applies in South Sudan?
Yeah, yes. Normally, when you register, your company name is put in a database. And whether that's 10 years later, 15 years later, as long as that database still exists, then you can still operate under the same name.
Okay, I would like both perspectives from Nigeria and South Sudan on a bit more about taxes that businesses have to pay or things they need to look out for, or are there particular tax requirements in Nigeria and those for South Sudan? So probably a recap around that would be great.
Should I go first?
So in Nigeria, the tax... Okay, no, go ahead, please.
No,
okay. Go ahead. Let me pull up my own.
Go ahead.
Please go ahead, because you have I'm pulling mine.
Like I mentioned earlier, in South Sudan, majorly we have, income tax. That applies to the employees. So that's a tax, you pay on your salary. We also have the business income tax, which is paid from your business profits. And then we have the rental taxes. If you have a commercial property, you're able to charge your tenants, taxes, and then you withhold it and pay it to the tax authorities, or they can pay directly to the tax authorities. So those are some of the most common taxes that we pay. When it comes to the local authority, like the municipality and all that, there are several other taxes that are, I mean, when it comes to taxation, there's a whole confusion as we speak, because before the establishment of the Revenue Authority, we had the Ministry of Finance collecting taxes. And as Ministry of Finance being a national, there were also state revenue authorities, and there's also the council, the city council, and other small entities that are collecting. So that's really confusing, and we are still looking forward to having this clear. But those three are most of the taxes people pay besides service tax. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Emalohi, your perspective.
Yes, so taxation in Nigeria. What matters to us for this session is the company's income tax. So as long as you are a registered incorporated company in Nigeria, you are required to pay this tax. And I always advise all entrepreneurs and companies that I work with to actually use an accountant. And the reason why is that taxation laws in Nigeria changes quite often. If you live in Lagos, there's Lagos inland revenue taxes. So there's state taxes and federal taxes, which are very, very important to pay. And then everyone who buys things knows about the value added tax, the VAT. And the VAT is at 8%. I think it's 7% now on anything you buy or sell, and you have to pay that. But one of the most important taxes is the personal income tax, which helps, you need to have your personal income tax clearance, which is tax imposed, on profits. That's your taxable income. And then, of course, there's withholding tax, which you take out of your payroll. The reason why taxation is important is because as time goes on and as business grows, if you need something from the government, if you need a loan, the first thing you want to see is if you have been paying taxes. And if you are owing taxes, that leads to a lot of issues with the government. I will include this information in the handout I'll send to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Taiwo would like a recap on how to register for a limited liability company. And I think that question is for you, Emalohi.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so the process to register a limited liability company, you have to go online. You can use an attorney or a representative, but the CAC has made it easier to do it online. So first of all, you have to find two names for the proposed company, because you may think you want to open Emalohi International Limited, and Emalohi International Limited may already exist. So you would have to have two name options. One could be Emalohi International Limited, and the second can be Emalohi Baby International Limited. So you use that first of all. Now, when you submit that, whatever name is available, they will let you know. After that, you have to prepare the objectives of the proposed company. What is the summary of the work that the company intends to engage in? And this is really, really important, because when you have an idea and you want to start a business, it is good for you to order. You have to think bigger. Okay, fine, I want to start selling women's clothes that I'm importing. But instead of writing, I want to start selling women's clothes, so you don't box yourself in, you would write, especially if you work with someone who is this area that helps to craft the objectives of the company. Instead of saying, I want to do men's clothes, you would write, I want to do apparel, clothing, accessories, fabric, textile. So that way, if tomorrow you're now saying, okay, I've been doing men's clothes, but I see that there's good business, or I want to expand into actually making my own fabric, your object is already covered. And then you now, of course, have to have the name, address, email, phone number of all shareholders and directors, because it depends on the type of company you want to register. Now, of course, you have to also show the percentage share and distribution amongst the shareholders, because as Asunta said, everybody's liability up to how much they contributed to the beginning. And then you also have to get a copy of all the identification of the directors, everyone who will be the shareholder. When you have all of this ready, you will now have to check and reserve the name of the proposed company with the CAC. When you go on the CAC website, you're going to find a couple of forms which you need to fill out. So there's CAC form 1.1. There is a memorandum of articles of association. They'll tell you what the fee is. And then all of these documents will be uploaded onto the platform. And after it has been approved, and a certificate of incorporation and the certified true copies will be issued to you as you incorporate. So the process is quite simplified, but again, it's Nigeria, so you have to make room for errors or glitches in the system. But the very, very important thing to do is very broad when you're creating the objects of your company, because you will always grow. Unless you're very sure that what you want to do is this niche thing. Oh, I'm only going to open a nail shop and we only paint nails red. So then you write, okay, we're a red nail painting shop. But if you write, I want to do a nail salon, anything with nails and body, so you have very broad in your definition. And I still advise people to speak with someone, maybe a lawyer or an agent that works in this area to help you craft the objects of your company so that you don't leave them out. Because there's really no way to add after you've incorporated your company. You have to do a new registration.
Okay, thank you, Emalohi. We have a couple of questions around tax. So Ogechukwu says she had registered her organization since 2018 and it started operation in 2020. So will she be taxed from when she registered the business or in 2018? If Ogene has a similar question, the company had been registered for 5 years, but it just started operation last year or very recently. When would you start taxing, or when does the tax come into effect?
Technically, taxation starts when you have incorporated. So now that you started doing business, you're going to have to find an agent or go to the FIRS or the state tax agency to say, yes, we registered, but we have not been up. Usually it should be a seamless procedure to say, we haven't done anything, so we don't have any money that you can tax. But if you don't do that, it takes one person to just say, oh, let me check this company, and then they will say you owe taxes, and they can slap any amount on it. So my advice is to go to the tax office, but use an accountant, use someone who's professional, who knows this area, because there's also the issue of trust in Nigeria. So many times we can be running our business and just having people pay us into our personal accounts. That actually happens. So the tax agencies would say, well, we have no proof that you, so it usually should be a simple letter. But my advice to you is get an accountant experienced in these matters to advocate on the state taxation agency. And I have a couple of accountants that handle this kind of matters that I can recommend for you to use. Because tax issue, especially if you're in Lagos, the Lagos state tax people do not play at all. They will come to your office or they'll come for you. Okay?
Okay, that's good. So we have a question from Noye. What if the business is not making profit or even loss? They should still go and declare it. I think you've answered that, but yes, just trying to confirm.
Yeah, it's really a simple letter. It should just be a simple matter that, listen, we have not made any money. These are bank statements or whatever they require, but still please go with an accountant. They have experience dealing with the tax office, and they know how to explain it. Because of course, like look at with COVID, a lot of businesses didn't even make any profits, but the tax man will still come for you. So it's best to engage an accountant and say, this is what's been going on. These are bank statements. You can see we haven't made any. When we start making money or when we employ staff, then we'll go forward going that way. So please, you need to go with an accountant.
Okay, so that's going with an accountant. So Asunta, this is also a question. So for like schools, people that want to register schools, apart from the main registration of the organization, are there other kinds of registration they need to do?
if you want to register a school, it's like you want to register a business and you want to deal with medicine, like you want to register a pharmacy. So you'd be required to register as a company and then go and get another form of license for you to be able to operate. For schools, I think it's the Ministry of Higher Education. So you register your company with the Ministry of Justice, and then from there you go for a license with the Ministry of Higher Education.
Okay. Emalohi, also in Nigeria, Rihanna has that question. So apart from CAC, is there any other kind of registration that a school will need to do?
If you want to register a school?
Yes.
No, everything goes through the CAC, no matter what the kind of organization there is. But I do know that you would need licensing because you're going to be teaching. So there's licensing from Ministry of Education you need to get, but that's different from registering the school.
Okay. So I would like you to take this question also, Emalohi, and after that, Asunta. What's the least amount of income that is taxable in Nigeria? And then Asunta, you tell us what's the least amount that is taxable for an organization in South Sudan.
You broke. I didn't hear the last part.
Okay,
of
no,
the question.
I was like, I wanted you to talk about the least amount of income that is taxable in Nigeria, and then Asunta will talk about the least amount of income that is taxable in South Sudan. So just to get the different perspective.
Okay, so well, there isn't a number, it's a percentage. So for corporates, all Nigerian companies must pay 30% of their worldwide profit. So even if you are incorporated in Nigeria or you sell in America or you sell in Sudan or anywhere else, 30% of the profit of that company must be paid to the government. And then on individual taxes, 25%, but it's not a Naira amount. 2 years ago, they tried to create this, like if your company made less than 5 million, you didn't have to pay tax. If you made less than a certain threshold. But the easiest way to follow under the FIRS is 30% of companies will pay 30% on their profit, and individuals will pay 25%.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Asunta, how does it work in South Sudan?
In South Sudan, I think I'll make a reference to Financial Act 2019-2020. It's divided into three. There's small companies, the medium companies, and large companies. So if you're a small company, you're required to pay, I think, roughly about 15%. For a medium company, that is about 20%. And for a large company, that's about 25%. That is just for business. For individuals, in case you're looking at the personal income tax, according to, I think it's the same financial year, 600 before was not taxable. So let's say, for instance, you're earning, or one of your employees is earning 600 SSB. Anything 600 is not taxable, but anything beyond 600 is taxable. That is in terms of personal income tax. But I think 2020, 2021, they increased it to 2,000. So if a salary is 2,000 SSB, it's not taxable, but anything above 2,000 is taxable.
Oh, is there a percentage?
Yes, there's I think about 20%.
Okay.
From anything beyond 2,000.
Okay. Sumaya is asking, must one open an account for a business?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason why you should open an account for your business is that you should be keeping your company finances separate from your personal finances, because you're going to be taxed on your personal income and taxed on company income. And if it is discovered that you are just receiving company income in your personal accounts, you run into trouble with the tax authorities. You have to also have a tax identification number in Nigeria called a TIN, which you should use with all your information. So it is best, I advise, that you should have a business account.
Okay, okay. We're running out of time. So if there are other questions, we would send them across and relay back to the participants on Google Classroom. So please, if you still have questions, put them down and we'll pass it on to Asunta and Emalohi, and they'll try and address them as much as they can. But some of the participants are looking forward to the details of accountant recommendations they could work with, particularly in Nigeria. And if you also have some in South Sudan, please share that, Asunta. And before we go, do you have one or two things, a last word that you would like to leave with the participants that they should remember, or something to share? So if you go first, then Emalohi. Asunta?
Oh, okay. I don't know if there's anything I could say, but it's very important to get registered. If you're doing business, get your documents in place so that you don't run into trouble with the law, and so that you're able to track everything you do. That's very, very important. If you have more questions, let me know, and I can always help. If you want a session on more in-depth information, because they say that legal information and legal advice, these are two different things. What we just gave you is legal information, but if you need legal advisement, that's something I can always do. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. So if you'd want legal advice, you could book an appointment with Asunta. The links will be shared in Google Classroom, so you could book an appointment with her. Emalohi, do you have any last thing that you'd like to leave with our participants?
Yes, thank you guys so much for spending time with us today. It's really important that we learn from each other and ask questions. It's really important that you register your business, and I know that it can be tedious working in Nigeria. But you can look at that if I register my business, it means that my business is going to get bigger than me. It's going to be bigger than these small transactions I'm doing. So put that in your mind and, put in the investment to register your company and to get the right professional advice to set up, because that's the way you set yourself up for success. A service that we provide at TribeXX Lab is free business clinics every day in our office in Ikoyi for entrepreneurs, and what is a business clinic? You have questions about, I'm trying to register my business. I want an accountant to give me some advice. I want a business consultant to tell me if, based on business idea, should I do sole proprietorship? Should I do partnership? How do I go about registering? So we provide that service. Oh, call to prayer. Let me wait till it's over.
Okay, that's fine. There's a question that Noya has, I think, just before we go.
Wait, hold on. I just want to say one more thing. So for this business clinic, I encourage you guys to come in, and you can also email your questions, because what the business clinic does is that you get to meet with an accountant, you get to meet with a business consultant, and you can ask all these questions that you need and get the help right away. In the handout I will send off, I will include the information or location for this business clinics and how you can sign up so that you can actually get the one-on-one help you need. But be encouraged that business in Nigeria, it might be difficult, but you would see the gains when you follow the law and you follow the taxation matters.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good. So please, I'm sure we look forward to, the participants look forward to any other additional information that is useful and that we could all share. And I was hoping that I would like us to take just one last question, because I think it's pretty useful for everyone. So if someone does business in Nigeria, for example, a freelancer, because right now a lot of people are doing works across countries, particularly online, how is the taxes handled? Does it go to Nigeria or to the country where you're providing the services? How is that handled? And so that they can work around it.
Could you mute your microphone, please, so that back sound stops? Okay, so as a freelancer, your taxation stays the same no matter where you made the money. So 20% worldwide, no matter where the people you did the work from are, it has to be 20% of your.
Okay, I think that's very useful. So thank you very much once again, and thank you very much, Nanko, that has been with us throughout the program. Thank you, we appreciate it. Once again, this program is an initiative by TechQuest STEM Academy and Junub Open Space, and is part of the AfriLabs Capacity Building Programme. So thank you very much. Please put your questions down if you still have them, and please sign up if you have questions, or if you would like to have sessions with Emalohi or Asunta. And thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you all next week and having discussions in the classroom. So have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.